Right, while it's still kind of in my head, I'll carry on with this broken prison system videos. Just let me be clear, I'm well aware that these are only really my opinions, but I have had the benefit of enough experience, and I'm an observant person. I watch, I listen, and I gather information. So I'm just going to talk again, just carry on about the whole kind of recruitment drive that started in about, what was it, 2017, maybe 2018. The other thing that I saw very clearly when I came back to prison was that not only had lots of what I'd call old school screws left the service, and when I say old school, what I mean is people with real kind of experience in the game, and that's vital. Some of these screws, they learn quickly and they learn well how to deal with myriad situations with all kinds of personalities, and those a lot of those people had gone. They know how to run prisons on the shop floor, and what they were replaced with was, and no disrespect to these people, because a job's a job, an opportunity's an opportunity, but essentially what they were replaced with was shelf stackers from Tesco's. You know, the training to become a screw, I think, is something like 6 weeks. And I'll give you an example of the other end of things, where I know for a fact that in Norway, for example, where they have a minuscule reoffending rate, it's 2 years training to become a screw, and you have to have a degree to do it. And whether that's coincidence that their reoffending rate is minuscule, I guess is a matter of opinion. But to me, it would logically follow that if you have all that training and all that kind of knowledge to take with you into the job, then you're probably going to do the job better. So there's that. Yeah, so I've touched on how the tail wags the dog now. I've touched on the losses of, let's call it right, good prison officers replaced by clueless ones. Not all of them. I'm not kind of generalizing about all prison officers in this day and age, but I'll give you one example. I have mentioned this before. I had to move cell in 2015 to a different floor of the wing I was on. I used to get a newspaper back then, and it continued to be shoved under my door in my old cell. One morning I asked a new prison officer, she'd been in the service about maybe 3-6 months, could she get my newspaper from the cell that I was in? And she asked me if she was allowed to open his door and go in his cell. I laughed. I just laughed at her, but not at her. I just laughed and said, "You're a prison officer. There's your keys on your belt. You can go where you like, do what you like. You're in charge. Go in there, help yourself to my paper." Can I go in there? I mean, what? It's a little example of how they train them for a few weeks, they chuck them in at the deep end. A lot of them sink, some of them swim. That's no way to run a prison service, is it? People who enter the service, they do it because they want to do it. Some of them just want job security. Some of them just don't fucking like prisoners, and they want to put their rubber stamp on that. That's not that common, but it is out there. And some of them genuinely, whatever, you can tell that whatever job they're doing, they try to do it to the best of their ability. Some of these new screws during my second sentence, I had no issues with any of them. But honestly, this is true. It wasn't, I would say that on average, during the 103 and a bit months I spent serving my second sentence, I was asked on average once every couple of months a question whereby I would have to tell a prison officer how to do their job. And I'll tell you now, this is not an isolated thing. I know lots of guys who were similar to me in that respect. Old school prisoners. I know how prisons work. I know what can be done. I know what can't be done. But imagine me training prison officers on the job while I'm a serving convict. You couldn't make it up. But there it is. It is true. And it was a bizarre thing. And I used to tell them the truth. You know, there are guys out there who would stitch them up in that situation for a laugh. I'm not really about that. So I would help them. And, but it's just fucking surreal and bizarre because, I mean, what is going on when one of your prisoners is telling you how to do your job? So yeah, it's a strange setup, and it's not going to get better anytime soon. This country remains virtually bankrupt, certainly on its knees financially. I don't care what they tell you. We all know it because we live it, right? Some of us are okay with our finances. Some of us are struggling to keep our heads above water. And do you think that the public in general want to hear that the government are chucking billions of pounds at the prison service? Of course not. Of course not. I get that. You know, generally speaking, prisoners are scumbags to all of society, and I get that and I accept that. And you have tabloids like The Current Bun and the other one, the racist one, they don't help matters because they kind of chuck fuel into the fire every now and then. The Sun, I think, is the only newspaper that calls prisoners lags. I don't know what fucking lags means, but it's obviously a derogatory term. So they are encouraging the public to hate us just that bit more. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of people in prison who are detestable creatures. I know that because I detested them myself. But that's just a kind of a snapshot of society. I can walk down the street now and walk past 2 or 3 people that I wouldn't fucking piss on if they were on fire. And I'm sure that there's plenty of people who feel the same way about me, and that's fine, because if anyone ever pissed on me, whether I'm a raging inferno, I will get up and fucking break your jaw. I take that back. I won't, but I'll certainly have a few strong words to say. Prison service, yeah, it's broken. It's on its knees, just like the NHS, just like everything else. You know, so I don't know what the fix is. I certainly have a lot of ideas about how to improve society's lot from the prison service and serving inmates lot and inmates being released. But they're never going to listen to a scumbag criminal like me. That's how they treat me. That's why I can't go into prisons to do my job. And that's fine. You know, that's how it is. And it's unfortunate that they're so one-dimensional about the way they think about people like me, because there are other ex-prisoners, plenty, who have something worth saying. It's not all about, yeah, I knocked him out and this screw and that screw and da-da-da. There's plenty of people doing all of that, and good luck to them. But there's nothing positive from it, really. It's just tittle-tattle. I guess I'm gonna go and start moving more of my stuff over. I'll have a think about this, and I will probably do some more. If you have any questions on either this video or the first one, let me know. Just prison related, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Have a nice day.